Hey everybody, Rock DIY here today. What I'm going to talk about is the 2023 Tesla Model 3 rear wheel drive. I'm going to talk about the car, and then I'm also going to talk about the charger, and the video is going to be about the issue with this specific car and the charger. And the overall issue is with this car, you will never be able to take full advantage of the wall connector. If you're making a decision about buying a Tesla, this is something that may prevent you from wanting to purchase this specific car, or the information I give you may make you decide to go with some different options as far as wiring the wall connector. There are different circumstances in which, one could be you're aware of the issue with the limitations with the wall connector, but you really don't care, or you become aware of the wall connector's limitations after you purchase the car, and then you've already installed everything, so there's nothing you can do about it, or you're completely aware of the limitations and you're fine with it. There's another option where you could just be completely unaware altogether, and you just bought the car, had the charger installed, it does what you need it to do, so it's not really too much of a concern for you, unless you start running into issues where the car, because of the limitations of the charger, it doesn't charge as quickly as you need it to, because that's going to be the limitation of this charger. I need to give a little bit of background on this wall connector. This wall connector is a 48 amp single phase charger, and you can wire it into your house. You can put this in your garage. This specific charger has to be hardwired, unlike some of the previous ones. You would use a NEMA 1450 wall outlet, similar to what your stove or your dryer would use. I don't have a garage, so this had to be installed outside. Because I installed it myself, no contractor was involved, so I could save myself some money if I know what I'm doing. And in this case, I knew what I needed to do. I did it safely, so I saved some money as far as getting a contractor. And to have a contractor come in and install this in your garage or on your property, this could run anywhere from $750 to $2,500, depending on what all needs to be done. And I think in my case, because I had it installed outside and I had to run cable quite a ways, this could have been more expensive for me had I gone with a contractor. Holes put in your wall, if you have a drywall in your garage, to run 220, and 220 involves 110 and 110, or what's called 6-3 wire, 6 gauge 3 wire, to be run from your circuit breaker panel to the wall connector. Like I said, this is a 220 volt wall connector. It's two pole meaning that on one side is 110, the other, or one pole is 110, the second pole is 110, making 220. If you do have to buy the 6-3 wire, it's expensive enough buying it on your own to DIY this job, but if you get a contractor, just be prepared that the wire is going to be even more expensive, because in this case I bought 6-3 wire, 125 feet, and it cost me $579 for 125 feet. All right, now with the background on the wall connector out of the way, I'll come back to that again, but now back to the car. And you can find this online. I don't know how well you can see it on my camera. I'll plug it into the video where it's stable, but on this little chart that you can get online, you may come across this chart, or you may not come across the chart, or you may come across the chart after you purchase the car or somewhere down the road. But what's really important about this little chart is, so it gives your circuit breaker, your maximum output, power at 240 volts, and then it gives the 4 different types of cars: the S, the 3, the X, and the Y. And then, so this wall connector is 60 amps. The maximum output with a circuit breaker at 60 amps is 48 amps output, which gives you greater charging. So for the Model S, you get 41 miles per hour per charge. For the Model 3, 44 miles per hour per charge. Model X, 35. Model Y, 44. Here's where there's a problem, and I think it's important for they don't like calling themselves dealerships, but the point of purchase, the Tesla store, when you buy the car, they should make it a point to tell you this, specifically when you buy the Model 3 rear-wheel drive. So, for example, Model 3, you would think that you can get 44 miles per hour per charge. The issue is, if you look at right here, there's a little cross, and then you go down to the bottom, and at the bottom, if you can see it, it says maximum charge rate for Model 3 rear-wheel drive is 32 amps, 7.7 kilowatts, up to 30 miles of range per hour. So this is the biggest point of the video specific to the car, is if you can only get maximum output of 32 amps, that means the maximum charge you can get per hour is 30 miles. So now back to the wall connector. If that's all I can get, specifically with buying this car, then why do I need a 60 amp breaker when I can just go with a 40, because the maximum is going to be 32 amps? Why do I need a 50 or a 60? And the other thing is, with the wall connector, when you set it up, everything that you can pull up on the internet or in a Tesla PDF or manual, for example, this is the latest Gen 3 wall connector manual you can get online, and all the information that's out there tells you that this wall connector has to be 60 amps and you have to use 6-3 wire. I would say that if you know you're buying this car, you don't need a 60 amp circuit breaker. You could go, I probably wouldn't go with a 40, I would probably go with a 50 amp fuse. It's not going to save you much money, but you could go with a 50 amp fuse or circuit breaker. And the other thing is, you can save some money as far as hardwiring the wall connector, because with 50 amps you only need 8-3 wire, and the difference between 6-3 wire and 8-3 wire is half the cost. So I looked it up, and you can buy 8-3 wire for $279, and that's at a local hardware store. You can probably get it cheaper and get it a lot more expensive than that. I think everything I just shared is important to know, because you will be limited on this specific car as far as charging, and I think Tesla needs to make it more obvious to buyers that if you buy this specific car, your charging is going to be limited. And I think if you're informed of, if you buy this car, that you don't necessarily have to set up the charger with 6-3 wire or a 60 amp circuit breaker.